Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most underrated travel destinations on Earth. A city most Westerners reduce to a single photo of clay soldiers, but which actually holds the beating heart of Chinese civilization. I'm talking about Xi'an, ancient capital of 13 dynasties, starting point of the Silk Road, and quite possibly the coolest place you've never properly explored. If you're like most people, Xi'an equals terracotta army in your mind. And don't get me wrong, those clay warriors are absolutely mind-blowing. But if that's all you see, you're missing 99% of what makes this city extraordinary. Xi'an isn't a museum piece frozen in time. It's a living, breathing metropolis where you can bike on a 600-year-old city wall at sunrise, drink a latte in a Tang Dynasty palace ruin at noon, eat the world's first hamburger for lunch, and dance in a nightclub next to a 1,300-year-old Buddhist temple at midnight. It's where ancient history and cutting-edge modernity collide in the most spectacular, chaotic, and wonderful ways imaginable. I know what some of you are thinking. History is boring. I don't want to spend my vacation staring at old rocks while a tour guide drones on about dynasties I can't pronounce. Trust me, I get it. I was that person too. But Xi'an is different. Its history isn't locked behind glass cases. It's in the air you breathe, the food you eat, the streets you walk on. It's alive. So grab a snack, sit back, and let me show you why Xi'an should be at the very top of your travel bucket list. Number the city that was once the center of the world. Let's start with a quick history lesson, but I promise this won't be the sleep-inducing kind you had in school. Most Westerners know Beijing is China's capital now, but for over 1,100 years, Xi'an, then called Chang'an, meaning perpetual peace, was the capital of 13 Chinese dynasties. That's longer than the entire history of the United States. Let that sink in for a second. At its peak during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 AD, Chang'an was the largest, richest, and most cosmopolitan city on the planet. It had 2 million residents at a time when London had about 10,000. It was the original global metropolis, drawing merchants, diplomats, monks, and adventurers from every corner of the known world. Persians, Arabs, Indians, Japanese, Koreans, even Europeans, they all flocked to Chang'an to trade, learn, and make their fortunes. In the 7th century, if you were an ambitious young person looking to make it big, you didn't go to New York or London. You went to Chang'an. It was the place to be. And Chang'an wasn't just big. It was centuries ahead of its time. The city was laid out in a perfect grid pattern with wide, tree-lined avenues and advanced drainage systems. It had running water, sewage systems, public parks, and night markets that stayed open until midnight. It even had primitive takeout. Wealthy families sent servants to restaurants to pick up meals. Meanwhile, in Europe at the same time, most people lived in small, dirty villages with no sanitation or streetlights. The largest European city, Constantinople, had less than a quarter of Chang'an's population. What truly set Tang Dynasty Chang'an apart, though, was its openness and tolerance, almost unheard of in the ancient world. Foreigners held high government positions. People of all religions lived side by side in peace, and women enjoyed more rights than almost anywhere else on Earth. They could own property, divorce their husbands, and even serve in government. The most famous example is Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor, who ruled for over 50 years and expanded the empire while promoting education and culture. That spirit of openness and creativity still lives in modern Xi'an. It's not just a relic of the past, it's part of the city's DNA. Number the terracotta army. More than just clay statues. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the terracotta army. I've seen photos my whole life, but nothing prepared me for seeing it in person. It's not just impressive, it's genuinely awe-inspiring. For those who don't know, the terracotta army is a collection of over 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots built to guard the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of unified China. He spent 38 years building his underground tomb complex, longer than most people's entire lives. The army was discovered completely by accident in 1974 when Farmers digging a well hit a clay head. They had no idea they'd just uncovered one of the greatest archaeological finds in human history. I visited the pyramids of Giza, the Colosseum, and Machu Picchu, but nothing compares to walking into that massive hangar and looking down at row after row of soldiers stretching as far as the eye can see, standing in perfect battle formation 2,200 years after they were built. What makes it truly incredible is the detail. Every single soldier is unique. No two faces are the same. Each has different facial features, hairstyles, and expressions. Some look young and eager, others old and battle-weary. Their armor varies by rank, their shoes indicate their status, and even their hairstyles tell archaeologists which part of China they came from. Over 700,000 people worked on this project. They used molds for basic body parts, but added every detail by hand. And here's a fun fact most people don't know. The entire army was originally painted in bright, vivid colors. Red uniforms, black hair, pink skin, even painted eyes. Unfortunately, the paint flaked off almost immediately when exposed to air after being buried for millennia. The gray statues you see today are just a shadow of their former glory. Archaeologists have found a few soldiers with intact paint, and seeing them is like watching history come alive. It reminds you these weren't just statues. They were meant to be a real army, ready to fight for the emperor in the afterlife. And here's the craziest part. The terracotta army is just the guard. The actual tomb of Qin Shi Huang is a huge mound a mile away, and it has never been opened. Ancient records describe it as an underground kingdom with palaces, rivers of mercury, and a ceiling decorated with pearls representing the stars. It's also said to be booby-trapped with crossbows to kill intruders. The Chinese government has wisely decided not to open it yet. We don't have the technology to preserve whatever's inside. But that mystery only adds to the allure. What other wonders lie hidden beneath that mound? We may never know, and that's part of the magic. A quick tip for visiting: go as early as possible. The museum opens at 8:30 a.m., and if you're there right when it opens, you'll have about an hour before the tour buses arrive. Don't just stay in Pit 1. Pits 2 and 3 are smaller but have more detailed exhibits, including the painted soldiers and high-ranking officers. And skip the cheap souvenir shops outside. Buy any mementos from the official museum store. Number, the city wall, bike through 600 years of history. If the terracotta army is Xi'an's most famous attraction, the city wall is its most underrated. And in my opinion, the single best thing to do in the entire city. Xi'an's city wall is the largest and best preserved ancient city wall in the world. Built in the 14th century during the Ming Dynasty, it's over 14 kilometers long, 12 meters high, and 15 meters wide at the top. Wide enough for 2 cars to drive side by side. Most ancient city walls have been torn down for modern development. The ones that remain are usually just crumbling ruins. But Xi'an's wall is completely intact, still surrounding the entire old city exactly as it did 600 years ago. And the best part? You can ride a bicycle on it. Renting a bike and cycling the entire 1.4-kilometer loop takes about 2 to 3 hours, and it's the perfect way to experience Xi'an. On one side, you'll see the old city with its traditional courtyard houses, narrow alleys, and ancient temples. On the other side, you'll see modern Xi'an with its skyscrapers, highways, and shopping malls. It's the most dramatic contrast between old and new I've ever seen. There's something almost magical about riding a bike on a wall that was built when Columbus was still sailing to America. The wind in your hair, the sun on your face, and the knowledge that millions of people have walked this same path over the centuries. It's a feeling you can't get anywhere else. The wall has 4 main gates, each with its own tower. The south gate is the most impressive, especially at night when it's lit up with thousands of lights. If you don't want a bike, you can take a golf cart tour, but I highly recommend the bicycle. It's much more fun, and you can stop whenever you want to take photos or just enjoy the view. Number, Xi'an food. The best street food on earth. Now we get to the part everyone's been waiting for, the food. If there's one reason to visit Xi'an, it's the food. It has some of the best, most unique street food in the entire world. and it's incredibly cheap. Most dishes cost between $1.50 and $3. Xi'an's cuisine is a product of its history as the Silk Road's starting point. It's a delicious fusion of Chinese, Central Asian, and Middle Eastern flavors, lots of meat, noodles, and spices, hearty and flavorful. Let me run down the absolute must-tries. First, Rojiamo, the Chinese hamburger. This is Xi'an's most famous dish, and for good reason. It's a crispy, flaky flatbread, stuffed with slow-cooked pork braised in soy sauce, star anise, cinnamon, and other spices for hours. The meat is so tender it falls apart, and the brie is crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. And here's the kicker, Rojiamo is over 2,000 years old.